As tensions with the United States and its allies keep rising, Iran is rapidly fortifying key underground nuclear facilities, especially around Isfahan, to brace for possible strikes and special forces raids that Washington keeps hinting at through repeated warnings and military posturing. Recent high-resolution satellite images, reviewed by outlets like The Telegraph, reveal that access tunnels leading into Iran's underground nuclear complex have been deliberately buried under layers of soil, turning once clearly visible openings into indistinct patches of earth. Analysts point out that the Isfahan nuclear site is served by 3 main tunnel portals, and all of these entrances now appear completely backfilled, indicating a systematic effort to seal every known access point into the subterranean facility. These revelations come from a detailed assessment by the Washington-based Institute for Science and International Security, a nuclear monitoring think tank that regularly examines commercial satellite imagery to track developments at Iran's most sensitive sites. In its latest imagery update, the institute notes that the middle and southern tunnel mouths at Isfahan are now so heavily covered that their shapes are unrecognizable, with fresh soil mounds completely hiding the outlines of doors, alcoves, and service structures. The northern tunnel entrance, previously fitted with extra passive defense features, has likewise been filled to the brim with earth, effectively blocking internal access and leaving no visible sign of a usable gateway into the complex. Experts assess that Iran's goal in sealing these tunnels is to blunt the impact of bunker-busting airstrikes and make any commando operation to seize or destroy potential highly enriched uranium inside far more difficult, buying Tehran time and complicating the calculations of US or Israeli planners. The Isfahan nuclear complex hosts Iran's main uranium conversion facility, where mined uranium is processed into uranium hexafluoride gas, the crucial feedstock that is later injected into centrifuges at enrichment plants like Natanz to boost its fissile concentration. Analysts monitoring the site say sensitive nuclear equipment and stocks of nuclear-related material were likely transferred into the underground tunnel network at Isfahan prior to the entrances being buried, a move seen as an attempt to shield core assets from future strikes and intrusive surveillance. At the same time, fresh commercial satellite imagery reviewed by international media, including agencies such as Reuters, shows renewed construction, vehicle movement, and other signs of heightened activity at 2 of Iran's key nuclear facilities following last year's bombardments. The latest images capture new roofs spanning damaged buildings at both Isfahan and Natanz, with these improvised coverings erected over previously exposed structures that were hit in the 12-day conflict, indicating a rapid effort to conceal whatever work is now taking place below. Both the Natanz enrichment complex and parts of the Isfahan site suffered heavy damage when US bombers joined Israeli forces in a 12-day campaign in June 2025, targeting centrifuge halls, conversion facilities, and associated infrastructure in an effort to cripple Iran's nuclear capabilities. Reports citing officials and experts suggest the new roofing structures are designed to block the view of foreign reconnaissance satellites, making it far harder for outside observers to track repairs, debris removal, or any covert rebuilding inside the bombed-out buildings. Iranian authorities now insist that unexploded American bombs and missiles still litter several nuclear installations hit during the 2025 strikes, warning that these duds pose ongoing safety risks and complicate any move to fully reopen the sites to international inspectors. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has publicly stated that the unexploded ordnance originates from US attacks carried out in coordination with Israel during the June 2025 12-day war, framing their presence as further evidence of what Tehran calls unlawful aggression against its civilian nuclear program. Araghchi says Tehran has already raised these concerns directly with IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi, arguing that new safety protocols and inspection arrangements are needed before agency teams can visit the bomb-damaged facilities and resume full verification work on the ground. Iran's stepped-up work at its nuclear facilities is unfolding as President Donald Trump openly warns Tehran to either accept a tougher new agreement or face potential military action, turning technical site activity into a high-stakes pressure game. Observers note that comparable fortifications, dispersals, and hurried construction at key nuclear locations were documented in the weeks leading up to the June 2025 Israel or Iran war, suggesting Tehran is once again bracing for the possibility of airstrikes or sabotage. An influential Telegram channel linked to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has teased that the country is preparing to unveil a new strategic surprise, hinting at a major capability or weapon system intended to alter the balance of deterrence with the United States and Israel. This messaging marks a sharp shift from earlier directives in which Tehran restricted public displays of sensitive military advances, but the leadership now appears eager to showcase strength as part of its broader psychological and diplomatic confrontation with Washington. Iran's army chief has reportedly warned that the country's defensive posture today is far more robust than during the 2025 conflict, stressing upgraded air defenses, hardened bases, and combat experience as reasons any new attack would meet fiercer resistance. Despite the hostile rhetoric, Iranian and US officials have been engaging in indirect talks facilitated by Oman, using back-channel meetings in Muscat to probe whether limited nuclear understanding is still possible without full-scale negotiations. Tehran's representatives have publicly labeled the Oman talks positive, while Trump has told US media the indirect contacts are very good, a rare moment of overlapping optimism that suggests both sides see at least some room for bargaining. In this context, the head of Iran's Atomic Energy Organization has floated the possibility of diluting the country's most highly enriched uranium stockpile, signaling a conditional technical concession that could be traded for meaningful economic relief. Mohammad Islami has stressed that any dilution of 60% enriched uranium would only happen if all US sanctions are lifted, firmly tying nuclear rollback to a comprehensive end of the financial, oil, and banking restrictions squeezing Iran's economy. International assessments indicate that on the eve of the June 2025 12-day war, Iran had accumulated over 400 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60%, a stockpile large enough that, if further refined, could yield material for several nuclear weapons.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that we will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest newsmakers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.